घनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि। भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनम् देवकी परमानन्दम् कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिम् यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। My namaskars to you all for listening to this talk on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We are deliberating upon the verses from chapter number 17 and until 16th verse. Am I right? Are you keeping track? So, because I thought I had completed the chapter, somehow I had confusion. So, I checked the last time's video. So, this is correct. So, until 16th verse, we had seen in the last class. Last Sunday, there was this spiritual retreat, etc. So, there was no class. Before that Sunday, that is on 4th May, last class was held. Now, the 17th chapter is about, this is called as Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga. Shraddha Traya Vibhaga. Traya means three. And Shraddha here, for practical use, this faith word is used, or we can use the word belief also. However, Swami Vivekanandaji, when talking about Shraddha, and especially when talking about Atma Shraddha, he said no word in English language can perhaps to do justice. It cannot do justice to the full meaning, full spectrum of the connotation that word Shraddha brings it. Though no word in English language can fulfill it, cannot come closer. So, it is perhaps with any language. So, every language is, it evolves, it matures with set of circumstances, ways, and a word which is a symbol of a particular meaning, and not only the just literal dictionary meaning to it, so much attributed, that's why we use the word connotation. So a single word may be used many times differently and we draw the different meaning from it. So Shraddha. But here in this chapter, what Bhagavan is making a point about Shraddha. So for that this purpose, we can in generally we can take this word, this belief or faith. In what sense we this usage would be permissible? What is being said here? So this chapter started with the question of Arjuna, because the 16th chapter, that is Daivasura Sampad Vibhag Yoga, that ended, and in the last 2-3 verses, Bhagavan made a few comments that he said after he first explains the divine characteristics of the people, then demoniacal characteristics of the people, and demoniacal characteristics he then explains elaborately, and then he concludes. So in that characteristics of the demoniacal nature, people who are endowed with demoniacal nature. So, and he concludes there after that therefore Shastra is Pramanam. Tasmat Shastra Pramanam te Karya Karya Vyavastitav. This is what he said. So meaning that to decide what is your duty, because that is the basic problem from which this discourse of the Gita has begun with in the first. Because his confusion itself is, he said, I don't want to fight war, and Bhagavan is saying, no, you have to fight the war. So what is Karya and what is Akarya? That is the basic confusion. And therefore it is for the most of the people, everyday people, it is not just the discussion about whether somebody should fight a war or not fight a war. This is not this Gita, this discourse is about how to take the decision whether you should go for war or not to go for war. This is not that. So they discuss that particular thing, Sri Krishna and Bhagavan Sri Krishna and Arjuna's dialogue, take it to the very principal level and bring it to that principle of determining how a man should approach his life, how he should take this, how he should take this. So here Bhagavan is saying he uses the phrase Shastram. Shastram Pramanante. Tasmat means therefore. And Shastra. So Shastras here we can take this word little more liberally rather than just implying books. Because then for different kinds of what is your duty or what is not your duty, what should be done and what should not be done, there would be different kinds of books. Isn't it? Suppose I have to go from one place to another, what kind of book should be referred? We should refer maps. So if the map is authentic, then that would be Shastra to tell you how to proceed. Provided, suppose there is some obstruction in the, so but if you have to take now different course, so again this map will come to our use. Isn't it? I cannot take Bhagavad Gita and ask her that show me the way to Kulava. This is not that, this is not Shastra for that. To go to Kulava or to any other thing. So you can use manuals, standard procedures, which are verified by the people, by the experiences of the people over the test of time, etc. So that would be called as Shastra. So there is established something how to do, that would be called as Shastra. So even in those times, even their earlier times, there were different kinds of Shastra, right from how you do everyday things through your sciences. Suppose there was books on suppose Ayurveda, then Dhanurveda, etc., etc. So how to do one thing or other, and there are these sources of knowledge. Then so people, what you have been hearing from the people, even that will become Shastra. You do not know something, elder peoples are there, you ask. So Shabda will become Pramana. Shabda is one of the 6 Pramanas accepted by the Vedanta. So in this case also, the words of the authoritative person, authentic person, will become Shastra. So abide by that. Unless it is proven contrary to the experience. So Bhagavan has used the word Tasmat Shastra Pramanante Karya Karya Vyavasthita. Jnatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum Iha Arhasi. That you will become able to, or you should become able to do your duty, your karma, Iha, in this world, by knowing what is Shastra Vidhan. Knowing that. And before to that, he had said that the people like this, the people of the demoniacal characters who are endowed with the demoniacal nature, how they do, these people generally they do Shastra Vidhim Putsujya, throwing away all instructions, guidelines, or injunctions of Shastras, of such kind of Shastras, and Vartate Kama Karana. They just act driven by their passion. Kama Karana. So, and these people, and what is the result? If you work like that haphazardly, just by your whims and fancies, because of just of your ego, and various ways how demoniacal people behave, that is being said in the earlier verses of that 16th chapter. So what happens if you behave like that, if you work like that? First they say that you will never reach the goal. Masa siddhim avap. This is the first. 3 things you will lose on. This is the first thing you will lose. You will not attain the goal. Even if you do, na sukham. If you reach the goal somehow, you will not become happy. That is the second thing you will lose. And even if suppose somehow you console yourself and you say, no, I am happy, no param gatim, you will not reach, you will not evolve. You will degenerate into base and baser kind of entity. That is for sure. परम गति ये हमारे हिंदू धर्म में बड़ा एक विशेष बात है और somehow we have made it everything to afterlife. कि अच्छी गति नहीं होती, अच्छी गति नहीं होती. अरे तुम्हारी जो गति है इधर ही है भाई. मरने के बाद उसकी गति छोड़ो, मरने के बाद किसको क्या पता क्या हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है. शास्त्रों तो कहते हैं, गुरुजन महापुरुष लोग उन्होंने कहा है तुमको तो भरोसा होना चाहिए. पर हम लोगों ने क्या किया है, ये इसको इस श्रद्धा को एक शील्ड जैसा बना दिया है. ठीक है, ये हमारी पूरी काम चोरी है और कुछ नहीं, बदमाशी है हमारी. ये हमारी स्वार्थपरता और क्षुद्र हुआ बुद्धि है और कुछ. हम जहां पे हम लोगों को थोड़ा तान पड़े ना, वो नहीं कुछ करना है. We don't want to. Everything we have to make mystical. Then anything you can talk, any nonsense you can learn. So everything is legitimate. सुनिए भगवान ने तो बोला है जिसकी जैसी श्रद्धा, बोलो कुछ भी. This is how human generally. he or she behaves. That's how the facts are. That's how the nature is. That's why the humanity. Because we are already enough stressed by the demands and vagaries of the world, uncertainties of the world. We are already tired. When we come to places of religion, one thing is our topmost priority is now don't disturb us more. Give us peace. That's why every time Om Shanti Shanti, 3 times we say peace. Every in the beginning, in the end, every time peace, peace, peace. तो वह बहुत हो गया. The cry of our soul is what we want. Now this idea of gati, how is generally been depicted? This idea of moksha, idea of gati. Moksha क्या? Like how can I tell? I have seen my grandmother. So let us say one typical individual, the Hindu individual into ordinary day-to-day household. She is very religious. She wakes up early in the morning, do all this. So in our village side, वो ये करते थे गाय के गोबर से, तो सामने के आंगन में सड़ा बोलते हैं हम लोग, वो सब करना. पानी वानी वो सुबह न लाता तो पानी वानी भरना, फिर वो नहाना वहाना, फूल तोड़ना, सब पूजा करना, मंदिर में जाना 6 बजे 6:30 बजे रात को टाइम सो जाना. एंड प्योर लाइफ. So what I heard, and she was very simple woman, very simple lady. I was grandchild, that's why I was very notorious, and she was very simple. So I heard from her mouth these words, like a village woman of those olden days. तो नहीं तो मोक्ष नहीं होता, कुछ बोलते से ऐसा मोक्ष नहीं होगा. मोक्ष this something is, नहीं तो अच्छी गति नहीं होती. So these words I have heard from. तो मैंने पूछा गुरु नहीं करने से क्या होगा? बोले गुरु नहीं करने से मोक्ष नहीं, तो गुरु करना है, गुरु करने से मोक्ष. अच्छा, तो मोक्ष क्या है? So मोक्ष means everything what I came to understand. That's how I came. I see that most of the people believe is मोक्ष क्या है? मरने के बाद तुम छूट जाओ, तुमको और मतलब क्या तकलीफ नहीं होगा या फिर जो भी है, पर मरने तक जो झेलना है तुमको झेलना है, उसके बाद तुमको मिलेगा गति भी. तो मतलब आइडिया, समथिंग मिस्टीरियस आइडिया इज कि कुछ तो भी अच्छा होने वाला है उसके बाद, मरने के बाद. मरने के बाद, मरने तक जो भी सफरिंग हुआ उसके बाद मतलब तुमको क्या भगवान लेके जाएंगे या फिर दिस काइंड ऑफ आइडिया. But if we see the words of the Bhagavad Gita and really apply it into our day-to-day life, then we do not have to go to this mystical realm. Whether it is true or not, we do not have to discuss. If you act like that, you lose the goal. Even if you have the goal, you lose the happiness. Even if you have the happiness, you become a debased person. Gati. You are not going to evolve. You are not going to become a greater individual. You are going to become worse than who you were already. न स सिद्धिम अवाप्नोति न सुखम न पराम गति. तुम्हारी गति अभी ये 16वां अध्याय इस तरह से समाप्त हुआ. तो अर्जुन के मन में प्रश्न आया फिर. So Arjun therefore he raised this question that suppose somebody, not everybody will know what is being said about, because here as soon as somebody says the word Shastra or scriptures, everybody panic. Like in today's day, we are still scared of any court cases. or this one police station, or maybe now income tax also. Somebody may be even afraid of GST officers also, etc. etc. So ordinary people keep distance from this kind of court, police, etc. So even at that time, Shastra was also that kind of brick. Shastra means लोगों को थोड़ा पसीना आ जाता था भाई क्या बोलेगा क्या नहीं, क्योंकि जो बोलेगा सभी मानना पड़ेगा. एक तो उनके यहाँ पे पहले जाना नहीं गए तो फिर उन्होंने जो बोला सब सुनना है. So Shastra. So Arjuna's question is very relevant for the even for the ordinary kind of people from their perspective. So he says, if somebody do not know, or for that matter, therefore, they would be doing anything, whatever they are doing, with disregard to what is the injunctions, what is the prescriptions, what is the what are the instructions of the scriptures in a particular set of circumstances. But he asked this particular question in context of yajan. He said, if somebody worships you, Lord, ye shastra vidhim usrutya, the people who will worship you, disregarding the shastra vidhi, they do not know, but they are endowed with shraddha, shraddhaya anvita, shraddhaya anvita. Anvita means endowed with. Shraddhaya means by shraddha. So shraddhaya here is in third case like an instrument. They are equipped with shraddha. That would be the literal translation. Equipped with shraddha. So through shraddha they are doing, not through the shastra vidhi. So what will happen? So their nishtha, nishtha, this is word is used because they are doing it that with shraddha and they believe in it now. So what that nishtha would be called as sattvic, rajasic or tamasic. So this is the question. One point we have to, yes, of course, in earlier classes, we have referred to this point. So something I want to talk about is Guna Vibhaga. So all the time why this discussion is coming, why this is important, that what is sattvic, what is rajasic, what is tamasic, why this discussion is happening here at all, what is its relevance? Why does even Arjuna is asking that kind of question, that whether it would be called as sattvic or rajasic or tamasic? So what is not explicitly being said, and probably we are missing the point. So while taking this discussion, while talking on this Bhagavad Gita, I didn't try to very stick to only Advaitic dissension or dualistic dissension or Vishishtadvaitic dissension hard and fast. Because at Ramakrishna Mutt, as Bhagavan Sri Krishna, so also Bhagavan Ramakrishna, they were not aberrant and one-sided, that one is true and other things are probably meaningless, if not false, that irrelevant. That would be the many time which are these people who are very hard on that particular outlook on the interpretation of the scripture. But Sri Ramakrishna's attitude is not like that, and neither we find that attitude is of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So many times that was not something because Shankaracharya has a job to do something. That's why he is very hard and fast. And those discussions, therefore, we find it irrelevant for us. What is, and my attitude or my approach had been always to keep our focus on what is going on in the discussion, in the utterances of Bhagavan Sri Krishna and Arjuna. The flow is important for me. What is happening? The whole discourse. They are not, one verse cannot be taken isolatedly. You cannot just discuss one verse. It is a part of a continuous dialogue which is happening. So in that context only it should be judged. You cannot take it apart. So as we see, there is a lot of philosophy from second chapter onwards to sixth chapter, seventh chapter, then eighth chapter is little digression, then ninth chapter. And at the end of ninth chapter, I had said the most of the philosophical part is now over. And by then in 10th chapter, Vibhuti Yoga, so he becomes interested. He asks such questions. And then Vishwarupa Darshan Yoga. He is very interested because Arjuna is a very normal individual, so to say. And I have said that not to be mistaken, these two kinds of personality of Arjuna. That one side on the battlefield is the extraordinary individual. But whereas when it comes to spiritual life, he is temperamentally a devotee. He doesn't like to give. We cannot surmise that he would be a dumb person. Otherwise, he would not be able to do or acquire such kind of talent, which is rigorous, discipline he must have gone through. So enough intelligence would be required for any person who is on the battlefield and who has to be ruler, etc., etc. Various knowledge. So definitely. And I have reiterated that many times. I have come across people who many times who are living intensest kind of life. Maybe scientists, maybe businessmen. When they come to spiritual life, they completely keep their brain in their home and they simply come here. And they want to be devoted. They don't want to use again brain here. This I have seen repeatedly. I have seen people that who are extraordinarily intelligent by their qualification, by their profession, by their job. Even they will discuss Vedanta very vociferously. But if you see in his soul, his duty, he is not following the path of, he is not that person, that argument is very vital for him and faith comes later. So, in spiritual life, therefore, this inner nature of the individual is very important. How does he approach spiritual life? This is most fundamental. And here we see Arjuna is that. That's why he is very interested. Even from the second chapter. So what he is talking, as soon as he talks about the Sthita Prajna, his first question is Sthita Prajna se ka bhasha samadhi spesha. How does people, he is interested in people form. He is talking a lot of philosophy, but immediately what catches his attention? Again comes to Vibhuti Yoga and then Vishwarupa Darshan Yoga and then Bhagavan in the 12th chapter he talks about the Bhakti. And at that time we see, at the end of 11th chapter we see Sri Krishna as his temperament has changed. When Arjuna gets frightened and he shows his normal form and they have very tender dialogue between them. First time he used the word Tata. My dear, he uses the word. In whole 10, up to 10 chapter, he has not used the word. And that time, Sri Krishna's love for Arjuna and that temperament is totally changed. We see and it seems that there is a change in Krishna's mind now, and he decides to approach Arjuna now different. Earlier he was talking philosophy, but now he thinks no, Arjuna is a different person. No use. He will disregard philosophy, how much ever understand, you talk, you discuss, it will not make any impression or move that individual to into action. That's why he comes to Bhakti, and at that time we see a continuous different now chain. After he talks Bhakti Yoga in 12th chapter, even that Bhakti Yoga, 20 verses are there, you can see how it begins. It is not totally talking about Bhakti, comes only in the later portion of that 12th chapter. It doesn't begin with it. And from 13th chapter, he talks about the difference between the material and consciousness. Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Vibhaga Yoga. And from what we have said, that from this point onward, that 12th chapter onward, what we see, that Krishna is trying to bring Arjuna into more practical sense, trying to not speak theoretically and let him decide, but rather decide for him, help him decide that, and talking about getting more practical about this theoretical aspect of spirituality and Vedanta. And here in 13th chapter, Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga, and therefore in the 14th chapter, when you are talking about the Prakriti, that is the Kshetra, and how Kshetra includes your mind too. Kshetra is Prakriti, body, mind, everything. So, whole problem is occurring here. There is no problem in Kshetrajna. Consciousness is always different, distinct from the material. So, you should not overlap. You should not mistake one thing for another. So, in this 14th chapter, first time, this discussion of the, because in the 13th chapter, Prakriti has come, here comes the Prakriti is made up of gunas. And because of gunas, Prakriti has become varied. Prakriti has become varied. One thing is distinct from another, it is just because of gunas, because of qualities. As if there is one material, and due to its vibrancy, vibrations between among its atoms, its molecules, so this same material behaves in a three different ways. Gunas, that's why we call it qualities. Only one thing, qualities different. Water is same, three different qualities are there. Like we say that crude oil is brought in. When it is refined due to different degree of refinement, there are about 200 products. Right from the tar, this pitch, to this rocket fuel, everything we get with a varying degree of refinement. So one material, as if behaving in three different ways. These are three gunas: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Tamasic is too dull, or almost working in an opposite direction. Sattvic is the balance, rajasic is the hyper. So inertia, therefore, is the quality of tamas. Action is the of the rajas, and sattva we have the light. In both sense, this sattva is used. That lightness, not in weight, because in contrast with guru, this it is used. Guru is not the quality of sattva. Guru means heaviness. That is the quality of tamas. Or darkness, this light against darkness. So prakasha is again the quality of sattva. And here in the 18th chapter, 14th chapter only, we get that. So he gives a formula that if it is sattva, you are going to progress. If your rajasa dominates, then you are going to be stuck. But if tamasa dominates, you are going to go down. And various ways how this quality expresses, and why this is being so said, or why this knowledge is important, for only one reason, for self-analysis. So that how you are behaving, how you are thinking. So see, what are the symptoms, what are the criteria you might be matching. So what might be the outcome? If you are not thinking it right, you can ask help. You can find out the way how to deal with it. But you must know that this is how material behaves. Mind is matter. Mind is material. Mind is part of Prakriti. Mind is Kshetra. It is not Kshetrajna. It is not consciousness. It is going to behave one way or other. If you are thinking, you are observing, your mind is behaving in such a way, it is not in Satvika Avastha, then your decision, your understanding, your conclusion might be clouded. They might not be accurate. So that's why this discussion on the gunas all the time and on influence under of these three different gunas, this whole Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga. The Shraddha, that is the faith and belief of the person, Shraddha Mayam Ayam Purusha. Yo Yashraddha Sa Eva Sa. Bhagavan has said that what is the person? What his Shraddha is, that is the person. What is your belief? That's who you are. Not how you want to believe yourself, how you want to pretend to the world, how the world knows you, that is not you. What is your inmost Shraddha is. That's who you are. Your Shraddha Sa Eva Sa, that is the person. So, this is what in the beginning. So, importance of Shraddha. Sattvanurupa sarvasya Shraddha bhavati bharata. So, Sattva here, Sattva is referred to Buddhi or mind. Or we can say the Sattva is the inner core of the individual. That's who you truly are. Not how I like to be known by the world. Not, that is not who I am truly. What is that truly or not truly? What does it mean? The critical situations in life that will taste it. I pretend to be great saint. Okay. But situation might taste it. And I would know that I am not. For example, I might say I am great such and such person. That I am really conquered my this thing, that thing, this weakness, that weakness. Let it prove. Let the situation speak for itself. So Sattva is something, that inner core of the individual is something. That is what reality is. So it is not never absolute. It is always subject to change, because you have changed. From an animal you have become human. From a human you will become divine. So Sattva Anurupa Sarvasya Shraddha Bhavati Bharata. So what is your inner core? Accordingly would be your Shraddha. So this Shraddha now, and what your Shraddha is, Shraddha Maya Ayam Purusha. Yo Yat Shraddha Sa Eva. He has said. So accordingly this chapter has proceeded. Here are discussions on tapas of, in the last three verses, Sharirik, Vachik and Manasik tapas. This discussion. So these three kinds of austerities, that physical, verbal and mental or psychological, these three kinds of austerities. So referring to this is the 17th verse. Shraddhaya paraya taptam tapas tat trividham naraihi afalakamshir hiryuktaihi afalakamshibhi yuktaihi satvikam paricakshati. When that threefold austerity, meaning that physical, what was said in the physical austerities? Few things were said. Deva, Dvija, Guru, Prajna, Pujanam. So Deva, that is the deities, then Dvija, referred to as the Brahmanas, or which are by character who are evolved people, Dvija. Guru, who are your teachers, Guru. And Prajna is, he may not be teacher, he may not be Brahmana, he may not be deity, but any wise person. So worshipping these people, paying appropriate obeisance, respect, due regards, this is considered as physical austerity. This is one thing. Then another thing is shaucham, maintaining general hygiene and cleanliness. It is called as austerity. Should deliberately do that. Then arjavam, that is straightforwardness, not indulging into crooked ways. Straightforwardness. This is again called as physical austerity. Rather, this looks like a mental and verbal attribute, but it is classified under physical activity. Shariram. Then again, brahmacharyam, restraint over your carnal desires, bodily desires, keeping them appropriate, not seeking waywardness into it. That would be called as brahmacharyam. So also ahimsa, your unnecessary itch to harm others, keep it in check, not to indulge into that. And these are the things, rather when they become very natural to individuals, then we will consider that person is establishing to that purpose, that kind of austerity. Brahmacharya, ahimsacha, and these would be called as shariram tapa. These are called as shariram. When you are such kind of individual, when these things has become your nature, then you would be called that you are engaged, you are established in this physical austerities. They are called as bodily austerities. Then speaking about the austerity of speech, anudvega karam vakyam, anudvega. Udvega is when you annoy someone, that is udvega. Not making this any annoying speech. Anudvega karam vakyam. Then again, satyam, speaking truthfully, speaking sweet way, priya, and also speaking as beneficial to someone, not lying. Okay, so you speak sweetly in unannoying way, non-irritating way, and also cause a good well-being of others, priya hitam. So such this is general methodology of speaking. The people who would be consciously trying to practice it, we would be calling that person is practicing austerity in this world. All the time we are irritated. One way or other, someone or other, and then we have a nice beep of it. And in Marathi language, there is this phrase they use, "Tond sukh yene." It literally translates as the happiness of mouth. Or happiness or pleasure of mouth. You know. Then when you are somebody taste your threshold and there your pressure fall, then gives a whistle, then you give that person left, right. So this is how we are generally. Okay. Alright. But if we want to practice this speech of austerity, and these austerities have fruit, remember that. If you are practicing it from that point of view and you are thinking that I am practicing austerity, then it will have fruit. It will bear. So tapas will never go without fruit. If with that sankalpa you are practicing that, it will definitely bear. Like for example, Yoga Sutra says that if some person practices speaking truth for 12 years, absolutely. So this is very difficult. Maybe that's why otherwise most of the people who are thinking, speaking truth, but why they don't attend this? Because somehow or other, there knowingly or unknowingly, there remains loopholes from where they are not able to fulfill this condition. So they say if somebody practices truth in that way, then whatever comes out of his mouth will become true. We don't see it is happening to us. So, but we see that it happens in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna says he can say that even in his dream he has not told even a half truth. He says he can make such claim. Can I make? I am not sure. So because once he scolded Rakhal Maharaj, Swami Brahmananji Maharaj, that why does your face look darkened as if some net of soot, black soot has covered it? Did you do anything wrong? And he said, no, I didn't do anything wrong. And then he particularly asked, did you tell a lie? He said, no, not that I can recall of. Even a half lie, or did I? And then he remembered, yes, while we were making some fun frolic, at that time he had told half a lie. It was not full truth. And Sri Ramakrishna very sternly said to him, never do that thing again. You can make, he was all throughout his life very fun-loving person, used to do pranks and all that. But remember that and Sri Ramakrishna's way of teaching was that kind of thing. He was a very powerful master. If something comes out of his mouth, there is no possibility that this disciple, even if he wish, he cannot act against it. That was his power. So when Sri Ramakrishna said, never do that thing again, so forget about. We can remain 100% sure. Even if Raja Maharaj wants, he cannot act against it. So Satyam, Priya, Hitam, Chaya. Then again few things are added. Swadhyaya and Abhyasa. Swadhyaya, Bhyasanam, Chaiva, Vangmayam, Vang iti, Vang means Vani, speech. That is Vangmayam Kapo. This is called as speech of austerity of speech. Then austerity of the mind. Mana Prasadaha. So this itself is called as austerity of mind. That keeping your mind in a pleasant state. You know, here you cannot make an irritating speech. You might get irritated. You do not make irritating. That might be possible. Here it says you cannot get irritated. You cannot get irritated. Mana prasada itself. Austerity means you have to do it. It will not remain like that. There is no pill for it. So definitely it is something doable that you do not let your mind swerve from that state of existence. Mana prasada you always maintain. However, you might irritate others, but you are never hurt. There are many people you will see that they are always very happy. However, means the whole world might be set on fire. Mana prasada. But howsoever, not in that ridiculous sense. Because we will see, mana prasada is one thing. Saumya word. This is Saumya word. This is the quality of austerity of the mind, that you are Saumya. You are never aggrandizing, too asserting, too intimidating, too pushing, bullying, or asserting. So Saumyatvam, that you are not striking any fear. What our ideas from our cinema is, hero means everybody fears him. Isn't it? We see the strength we have equated somehow with the fear. Not necessarily. That you do not fear, that is good enough. That is good enough measure of strength. that you cannot be intimidated, that you do not get butterflies in your stomach. That is strength. And you maintain your discourse very civil. You does not lose your wit. And think thoroughly. That would be saumyatva. Somebody does something wrong to you, you do not jump to the conclusion that this person is deliberately trying to, harm me. There could be so many, but maintaining saumyatva, so this is called as the austerity of the, so this is a great austerity. Easy. You will have to deliberately one way or other, or grain by grain, bit by bit, you will have to earn that. Saumyatva. Then maunam. Now you see, this looks like this should have been the austerity of the speech, but it is classified under the austerity of the mind. The silence, maintaining silence, maunam, or use of minimum words, not to use extra words. This would be called as maunam, is a austerity of the mind, not of speech. So silence, that peace has to be in your mind first. Maunam. And Atma Vinigraha, the control of the mind. Yes, of course, if everything, this thing has to be there, you have to have immense control over your mind. So much awareness, so much consciousness. You must be so seated and rooted deep within yourself that you see how your mind is functioning before you. However, our condition is something, mind is working behind us, we are rushing into the world. This is who we are. Isn't it? We are like the tip of that spear. We are rushing into the world, mind is behind us. Whereas what this is trying to portray is that you are sitting behind and mind is working here. That is the great evolution of the individual. But we must be able to dream it at least. We must be able to dream it. We must be able to desire it. We must be able to then think, simulate, if we really can, if we can really have this, if we can really become this, how we will become, how we will do. So unless you start making your plans, your conjectures, try to see whether what little bit it is possible, and unless you then, therefore, you invest your time, mind, energy, this experimentation, without that you cannot build it, you cannot copy it, you cannot pretend it. आत्म विनिग्रह. Then again that भाव संशुद्धि, इतना सब कुछ होने के बाद बोल रहे हैं that keeping your भाव, that is attitude or your emotions pure, संशुद्धि. What does it? So how they get impure? When attachment muddies everything. Attachment soils everything. Ignorance soils everything. You become body and you become selfish, then all your emotions are soiled. As soon as you become for yourself, regardless of others, everything becomes it. भाव संशुद्धि इत्येतत्. This tapasa manasam uchyate. So these three tapas, austerities. Somebody does this shraddhaya paraya taptam. So paraya, that is when that threefold austerity is undertaken with supreme faith. Paraya means highest, because Shraddha is in third case, so para is also Shraddha para. Para Shraddha, that could have been a word, but because Shraddha here is in third case, so it's adjective para also comes in third place. That is our Sanskrit grammar. This adjective also has to be in the same case. So paraya shraddha, shraddhaya paraya. Taptam means if somebody does this kind of austerity. So very wonderful the word here for the austerity. Tapa. Tapa literally means hitting it up. Taptam. It could be literally if we have to hit something. If I have to ask, suppose we have kept that our plate or some utensils on fire. Okay. So somebody is asking me whether it has become hot. So taptam word would be used. So I would in affirmative I would have to say yes, taptam. So here literally this taptam phrase means here it comes in the sense of the person. If somebody would have taptam tapaha tat trividham. These trividham is bodily, of oral and psychological or of the mind, of body, mind and speech. These three vidham of three types. This tapaha, if somebody has done taptam, who has done this tapaha. So remember in physics, this concept is there. So anything is compressed, it becomes hot. Even this air condition works on the same. If anything expands, it becomes cool. And otherwise also, so when something becomes cool, it loses its energy and it's settled down, it becomes solidified. So like vapor, when it cools down, it becomes water. Water, if it is too becomes cold, then it becomes ice. It becomes more and more solidified. So tapa, it's a refrain. So like examples are given, like you draw the string of a bow. So it gathers, it amounts, it captures a potential energy. Anything it is filled with potential energy, like this refrain is going to raise its energy. In Taittiriya Upanishad, this idea comes that when supposedly when Brahma also is creating universe, what does he do? He goes and he does tapas, and that's how he acquires energy from refrain. Refrain he raises, and then he creates the thing. So for anything, this creativity, if it has to come, if you have to produce something of a higher quality, you must do tapas. You must refrain, you must conserve, you must accumulate, and then you can bring in the force. Tapas, this idea. So tapas is very fundamental idea here. We see in Indian spiritual literature. So somebody, if he does this with lot of shraddha, highest shraddha, paraya, supreme shraddha, these threefold austerities, and not only that, aphalakankshi, that becoming desireless with supreme faith, and who do not hanker after results. Aphalakankshi, yuktaihi, that they are, yukta means the people who is rooted in the yoga. Here translated as self-controlled. And they speak of it as born of sattva. So this kind of tapas would be called as sattvika tapas. So all three he is doing with shraddha, regardless of not desiring for any fruit, just for itself. So can somebody do such kind of refrain, grinding, so much control, so much burning? Why somebody would do? just for itself. It is not desiring any fruit also. And what is his Shraddha there? What is his Shraddha? Why he does that? And why it is called as, this looks like meaningless. No, it is not. It is not. Somebody suppose is studying hard. So naturally, so what do you want to become? You want to become doctor? You want to become engineer? You want to do this, that? What are your great ambitions? If that boy, no, I am not thinking of like that. I just like, what a dull fellow you are. No, that's what Gita is saying. That is called as the Sattvika person. He is doing that just because for itself. That reading itself, studying itself is something very self-absorbing. He is not asking anything in return of it. That person's mind is so absorbed, flowing in that direction, it simply concentrates into it. Somebody suppose practicing. So what do you want to do? So immediately our general way of thinking is that he must be dreaming like this, to perform here, get that prize, get that award, do this or these kinds of dreams, worldly dreams. Or why are you working so hard? Something must. So we cannot accept this idea that, like, suppose, many times I have given this example of the people who go to gym. Okay, so you are all here seniors, but you can ask young people who devotedly do the bodybuilding. So you will know for them, many of them you will see, if they are going for gym, many times they are free from addictions. Free from addiction. It naturally happens for them. If they would have been drinking, if they would have been smoking, they will leave that. Because they do not need to do that. Because they have very legitimate went out for it. And what happens, like when other people, their people are doing suppose addictions, they say they get a kick out of it. Literally grinding your muscles can give you that kick. Like suppose you are running, when you run with that, maybe for few seconds, 15 seconds you run at very high speed, and you feel that like something great, joy is rushing through your veins. A sufficient means you are burning yourself. You are burning, literally that is the phrase. You are burning your energy, you are burning your body, your muscles, and you feel a great joy out. When you do something, some work with a lot of focus, grinding yourself. And that's how. It is not only because of money or return. So, apalakangshe vir yuktaihi yoga yuktaihi. Yukta means always yoga yukta. Self-absorbed, in a flow. And then that kind of tapas would be called as sattvic. This is the verse number 17. So we will close here. We will begin. Again, the next Sunday there will not be class because Revered General Secretary Maharaj will be coming. He would be delivering lecture. You are all welcome. Please come. So he would be speaking on the story of Ramakrishna mission, the journey of 128 years. So it is best to hear from him. So next Sunday at 5:30 p.m. is the lecture time. You are all requested to join at 5 p.m. and take the seats, occupy the seats, so that we can start the program. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.